Hey guys, well, another update. I got some more done on the van, but if I go out there around the corner, it's windy. So I'm hiding behind the house again, and there's actually kind of broken sky. It's a little blue, a little gray, depending on what side of the house you look on. But I wanted to talk to you guys about something. The other day I had a really huge setback, and like I said, this part of this channel is about mental illness as well. For a long time I carried anger, and I still do. That's kind of a hard thing. My brain doesn't process things normally. And you get a lot of people that say that, but basically here's what happens is when I get too much stimulation, either really loud music or fast music. I mean, depending on what situation it is, I love fast music. I love loud music too, for that matter. But depending on where my mindset is, if I get too much of that at one shot and I'm thinking about too many things, it does more damage than it does good. If there's too much stimulation going on, I'm at a concert or things like that, then I digress. So then, emotions build up and things like that. So we have these groups that I go to, and for the most part, they're really helpful. I went to this group, and this guy's kind of sitting behind me, and he's just an asshat. In my opinion, he just, everybody goes there for their own reason, and I don't know if he gets anything out of the group. I sure hope he does. But this particular day, and I think it was Friday, he just thought it would be a good idea just to shoot his mouth off and say really inappropriate things around ladies. And look, I got a dirty mouth. I talk shit. But there are certain things that you just don't say around women, and that's just common respect. It's courtesy. It's things that, you just don't do. And boy, he was getting crude, and I turned around and I said, that's kind of inappropriate. I'd appreciate it if you would not do that. And I got a fuck you right in my face. Well, that just hits my piss me off button. So it got, for the longest time, about 5-10 minutes into this, I kept my cool throughout the whole thing. And then he just started grabbing ink pens and throwing it in the back of my head and really instigating this. So I turned around. I was actually sitting on a couch. He was sitting on a chair kind of behind me a little bit, and spun around, and I told him, I says, if you do that one more time, I said, I'm going to stick one of these pens up your nose and stick it in your brain. And I was pissed at this point. I was really pissed at this point. And the lady that was running the group, she kind of didn't know what to do at that point. And then there was another gal that was, she normally runs the groups on another day. She came out, and she kind of got my attention and got me back away from that. But it kind of made me realize I rely on medication a lot, and I rely on medication more than I should. The medication does wonders for me. It really does. But I think when you're on medication, you shouldn't just rely on medication and go, oh, okay, now I'm cured. And this kind of brought this to light. The medication that I'm on gives me a balance. It gives me it puts me on an even keel. But like I said, I think I relied on that too much, and I forgot to look for my triggers. I forgot to look for things that could possibly set me off, the mood I'm in going into these things. And so that was kind of a wake me up call once I got out of that situation and started self-analyzing, which I always do anyway. So when you're looking at people, and people get angry and pissed off just at the drop of a hat, it's not that they're pissed. Yeah, okay, they are. But it's more of they can't process things normally. And so have a little bit of empathy. And if you're the one that's just sitting there chewing on their ass the entire time while they're trying to figure shit out, it's like, well, you're kind of the dick in this situation. You're the one that's causing the problems. Yeah, they're trying to figure shit out so that they can calm the situation down themselves. Yeah, they may be exploding in your face, but if you don't try to figure out who's got bigger balls, then, be the bigger man. Turn around and walk away from the situation, because, that's going to calm it down right there. If you just remove yourself from the situation, which I should have done, then there's no situation to be had. There's, there's no threat to anybody else. I mean, what's it going to be? If you walk away from that situation, what harm is in that? Your ego? Who gives a shit about your ego? Nobody but you. If you stay in that situation, it becomes physical, then who gets harmed? Well, he does, I do. Then your pride gets hurt because, my pride would have got hurt because I would have realized that I'm better than that. So here I am, 44 years old, and still learning this shit. So mental illness is something that can it be cured? That's debatable. Can you learn coping skills to get through it and get over it and get around it? Yeah, absolutely. But it's one of those things that you have to try. Those people that sit there and use it as an excuse, like, I'm bipolar, or I have depression, or I have PTSD, or I have, whatever, I'm ADHD. Well, fuck off. We all got something. But each and every one of us are learning to get past it. And if you're not taking those steps to learn to get past it, well, then you're doing yourself a disservice and you're doing everybody else around you a disservice. So once you admit that you have a problem, then you can learn to fix it. And I equate a mental illness with like an alcohol addiction or a drug addiction. There's going to be relapses. I don't know of anybody that was, any alcoholic that ever just said, nope, I'm done, and walked away from it and never had another craving or anything like that. I'm sure it's probably happened. I don't know of anybody. But I equate it to that because mental illness is the same way. I have that short fuse. I don't process things the same way. I am getting better tremendously. In the last 2 years, I've made just huge strides because I've realized that I don't have to be a dick to get progress. But I'm going to have relapses. I'm going to backtrack. I'm going to fall off that wagon. But I also learned that I don't need to, or I can't, let me back up a second. I can't rely on that medication as much as I did. I need to learn those other skills on how to cope, how to recognize these situations and shut it down within myself before they get inflamed, before they get out of control. Because he's a 24-year-old little fucktard. I'd have ruined him, even with a messed up back. I mean, once that adrenaline gets going, I don't feel shit. And I'd have just wrecked shop on that little guy, but that's not who I am. And I hate that person. I don't want to be that guy. I don't ever want to be that guy. I mean, I've hurt a lot of people, not so much physically, but there's been a few, but not so much physically, but emotionally. I've hurt a lot of people because I couldn't get a grip, because I couldn't figure out how to get past that anger. And that sucks. That really sucks. And there's a lot of people that I truly love. My son's mother, I adore her, and we're friends to this day. Do I deserve that friendship? No, because I was a rotten son of a bitch. But we got to learn. We got to move forward. If we don't learn and move forward, then we're no good to anybody. We're no good to ourselves. I mean, the whole point of life is progress and helping people and loving people. But remember, like I always say, you got to love yourself long before you can love somebody else. If you don't love yourself, everything after that's just bullshit. Have a good day.